Hey, welcome everyone. My name is Cody Scott with Cassian Films, and in this video, we're gonna walk through together what it's like to color grade your commercials. Let's get into it. All right, so as you can see, I already went ahead and started building my node tree. This is gonna save us time in advance. So I always start off my projects with noise reduction. This just removes some of that grain that you see happening in the darkest parts of the image here. It's very minute, but if we zoom in, you can see the difference happening. And remember guys, this is about subtle changes, small changes over a period of time. Next up, we're moving into our exposure. I already went ahead and added 1.3 contrast and brought down my pivot just a little bit. Now, as you can see here, I do need to bring my black levels down and then trim up these highlights right here. So we're gonna go ahead into my log wheels right here and just use these to make sure you massage your clip in the right direction. But I only want to affect the lowest parts of the image, and then I'm coming back into my regulars and bringing up my gamma. I am gonna actually bring down the highlights a bit and then bring that gamma up. I'm happy with that exposure, so this is before, that's after. All right, now it's time for some color. So I'm coming over to my color node, go down to saturation, and I crank that thing to 85, and I might even do more in the future. But my colors look balanced, this looks nice, and I'm happy with the way this looks. Now with Blackmagic Raw, you're able to go back into your raw settings and do this as if it happened in production, which is great. So I'm just pushing a little bit of green. Actually, I think that's too much. Just a little bit of green in the image to offset the pink, and that's looking fine now. Next, I'm going to my HDR. HDR is where you can make your image come to life. Look at that. All I did was come over to my shadows and I raised them up just a little bit. These are the darkest parts of the image, so of course you want to bring them up. So I just lifted those a little bit, and then I brought down the skin tones, the trees, and all of the brightest highlights in the image. Now guys, I could stop there and my client would be happy. Look at this, before, after. But I'm gonna go one step further, and actually a few steps further to be more exact. Next up is recovery. Now, I'm looking in my scopes here and I see this tiny little bit of information here that says clipped. When it's flat, like a very flat line, that means it's clipped, which means I'm losing information right around here. So what I'm gonna do is bring up my mask. I usually use a gradient for something like this. So I will bring this bad boy up just a little bit, and I'm just gonna crank blue in my image just so I can see what I'm affecting to help me actually see to set my mask the right way. So I'm coming up here, I'm going to come over to my highlights and bring them down just a little bit. And here's the before and after. You see what it's doing? It's just turning down the brightest parts of my image just to balance out the rest of the image. I mean, it's needed at this point just to make it feel more natural. All right, next up is my clean white. This is the secret sauce. This is 2 steps, guys. Now, I've already went ahead and done this, but I'll explain it to you as I'm doing now. I went to my luma versus saturation. I just clicked a point on the graph here, and then I brought down the shadows here. And I'm just gonna dial it back a little bit. What this is doing is removing all of the color from the darkest parts of the image, only the darkest shadows. So parts like the chair, the inside of his jacket here, this brick right here, it's all getting the color taken out of the shadows. That's more natural and it's a very cinematic look. All right, so next is skin tones, guys. So I'm moving into my vector scope, gonna come over to my keyer, turn on my node, and then click on this little icon up here, the little magic wand. It allows you to see your image and what you're keying. So I'm just gonna go over the skin. Now, as you can see, it's affecting other things in the image, and we're gonna get there in just a second. But what we wanna just affect is a skin. So we're gonna have to refine this, and this part does take a little bit, guys, so make sure you have some patience and work towards things like this, because you won't get it perfect the first time. It does take time. You'll just adjust all these parameters and just keep on moving them around until you find something that works. The culprit is typically right here. Now you can only go so far. I think I can get most of it with this slider here, to be honest with you, because it is affecting the darker parts. Now, if you cannot, I'm using a 12-bit raw file, so it's a little bit easier to pull keys. The more color depth you have and color information you have, you can pull keys easier. That's why professionals like to use those kinds of like 16-bit raw cameras to do that stuff. Now I'm gonna crank my blur radius because I am getting some over here. Now guys, I could be very happy with this key right here and move forward, and I really don't think there's too much. Yeah, right there. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. These little things need a correction anyway. So let's go down to our scopes here. I'm looking at the flesh line right here. That indicates that is where his skin should be sitting. So I'm just gonna come over to my gamma, which is midtones, and shift it to the right just a little bit. I'm coming to my midtone detail, bringing it down, because that softens out the skin, and your client's gonna want that. They wanna look beautiful. This guy's handsome anyway, and he's super funny. Such a great guy. I'm glad I got to meet him today. Anyway, we're coming to the color boost here. That typically goes up to 250, sometimes 350, and the saturation up a little bit. So I'm just looking at that now, and that's very subtle. Guys, I think we nailed the skin tones on set. I shot this today, actually. I'm recording this the same day I shot it. Next up is greens here. We're gonna take the keyers, and guys, if you wanna do a quick way, you come to color, go to presets, and then go down to yellow, and it's going to key all of the green areas. Now you will get some of the skin tones, and we're gonna refine that just by shifting the color over a little bit. And that's the quickest way to pull keys for the things in the image. Isn't that awesome? It's so cool. My greens, I like to make them feel a little larger than life, so I like to make them more vivid. So I'll exaggerate it. Like, that's the green I'm going for, but just not too much of it. So I push it in that direction, basically. More green than yellow, you know? Before and after, it's subtle, but it's green now, and I like it. I'm sticking with it. Next up is the bricks here. Now, after pulling the skin, I feel like I'm gonna get these bricks in it too. Yeah, you see that? So I'm gonna refine that even more, denoise a little bit, clean white, and then I'm gonna soften it out. I always soften out the shadows and the highlights here. That's key, that is essential. Now his skin falls in the lighter parts of the image, so I can easily remove it without affecting his skin directly, and keeping a good key on the blocks at the same time. I wanted red in my bricks because these bricks are just flat. I just wanted a little red in them. Spice them up, add some mid-tone detail to them just to give them some texture. And that's looking good. So guys, this is what we have so far. Before, after. My client would be happy with that, your client would be happy with that, but we're taking it further. So we're gonna just do a little bit of pop here, and this pop is made up of an effect called glow. In addition to grabbing that glow effect and putting it on there, you just wanna raise up the highlights a bit. So come over here, make sure editable splines is on, click the top dot up here, and this dot will populate. So lift it just a little bit. I'm gonna just put one more node right before it, and this is gonna be my vignette because I wanna separate him from the background. So we're gonna come in here, grab a mask, and then put it over our guy, soften it out, and then stretch it to fit just him. Now we will get some spill, that's fine, but as you can see, we're highlighting just him. And what I wanna do is come over to my curves, bring down the shadows, and then invert my mask. And what I've done is bring down the shadows of everything around him. And what this is doing is creating a vignette. It gets all focus on our subject. As you can see, now all focus is on our dude here. And this is looking great. I really do like it. Last here is sharpness, guys. We're gonna come to these triangles, bring that down to, it's typically here, but bring it down to 0.47. And look at this, before, after. Last up is export settings. It's something that people do not like about DaVinci. Go to ProRes Master. Next up, File. Go to individual clips, source name, use unique file names. It's important because if you don't do that, you're gonna save over the same project over and over again. Audio, yes, I need it. It looks good, sounds good. I'm gonna keep it. Video, this is the secret here, guys. Advanced settings, use constant bitrate. Go to full if you plan on editing this video further. If you don't, then keep it at auto. And then come down to Rec 709. Change your gamma tag to Rec 709. That will stop that stupid color shift that happens in DaVinci whenever you export. That's the secret, guys. That's what you're looking for. If you made it this far, congratulations. You just got a golden nugget to take your stuff to the next level. So forced sized to the highest quality, and then I forced debayer to the highest quality as well too. Once that's done, I add to render queue, and then I specify where I want it. Let's say I'm gonna put it here, and then open, and then render all. And guys, that is how I color grade commercials. Well, that's all for me, guys. If you found this video helpful and you'd like to learn more, please click the link below, or hit that like button, subscribe button, or dislike button if that's something you're into. I'll see you guys in the next one.